Uh, very good afternoon to all of you. I welcome all participants. As you all know that e-commerce is the need of the hour, so we are organizing today's webinar on leveraging cross-border e-commerce with Amazon. Amongst us, we have our convener of exhibitions in GJAPC National Exhibitions, Mr. Sailesh Sangani. I would request him to give his opening remarks. Before we hand it over to the Amazon team, we have Nikki Anthony from Amazon. She is the head of marketing in Amazon, manager jewelry category for global sales. Then Mr. Pratik Gupta from Amazon, Mr. Ankit also from Amazon, and we have Mr. Pratik Sangani from he's GM Sales Marketing in BBC Brinks Logistic Company. Over to Sailesh Bhai for giving your opening remarks. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So the current global crisis, the pandemic which we are all going through, is now what was normal as of before pandemic, and the new normal is going to be very different. So this new normal has bringing in a lot of business through e-commerce. And who better in e-commerce than Amazon? And so we have collected a good team of Amazon for you over here today, who is not only going to tell you the statistics of Amazon, but also teach us how to do business on Amazon. And as India, our biggest market for export is America. And this particular team, specifically Nikki, takes care of the North American market, and she is going to be our best person to guide us on how to get into business through Amazon in North America. And I'm very sure all of us are going to learn over here from her. And Nikki, I hand it over to you now to take it up from here.
Thank you, Shailesh sir, and thank you, Sanjay sir. Good evening, all. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. And we hope that at the end of the day or at the end of our webinar, you are able to have a better understanding of how global sales work, how e-commerce and Amazon specifically works, and how you can, as Indian jewelry sellers and manufacturers, take your business global. I'm Nikki Anthony, and I'm part of the global trade org of Amazon. As part of the global trade org, we actually have three different organizations. One which works with India to rest of the world exports. The second part which works with rest of the world to India. And of course, the India itself, the org that works or sells into India itself. I am from specifically the India to the rest of the world organization. And from my team, I have Ankit and Pratik as well with me, who will also later share their insights and help you and guide you. Later, when you have any questions and if you would want to be in touch with us, you can get in touch with our team members and we can guide you. Let me start by sharing my screen and explaining to you how global selling in the times of the pandemic that we are in stands to benefit us all as a business. And if we are able to keep in with the changing times, we have a better chance of surviving this pandemic and coming out and grow. So let me just share my screen. So to give you a little bit of insights in terms of what we do, Amazon Global Selling actually talks about taking from, in this particular conversation, we'll talk about selling from India to the world. A few months back, we actually had a webinar with the GJPC members as well. And that was at the start of the lockdown. It was on the 1st of May. And we all at that point of time, including us at Amazon, had a belief that, in 2 months' time or in 3 months' time, things will go back to normal. And we will, go back to our own lives, and, business at max would be impacted for 2 months. Today, I think we have a far more better understanding of what the disaster and the pandemic is looking like. And we know that chances are the world will not be the same anymore. Immediate dangers of the COVID pandemic, I think, will last us for at least 2 years before people are confident enough to go about their lives as they were before, in terms of shopping, in terms of experiences that they would like to go into. I think it will take us a certain amount of time. However, during that time, business doesn't stand still. People's demand, supply, etc. has not stopped. People are just changing their behaviors and patterns. Very early on, we saw that there was a large decline, in terms of shopping, and people stopped buying things, and other than essentials, nothing else was even available. However, now when the markets have opened up, you can actually see that non-essentials are also being purchased, because people also want to experience what they consider as normal and their life before the pandemic. And they would want to go look at online avenues where they are able to get those from, because they cannot necessarily go to a shop and buy the things that they would want to before. So there's a McKinsey study which says that within Asia itself, the online market is set to double from 6% to 12%. And there is, that is within 2020. This was actually something that they spoke about last year. With pandemic taking into account, this number has exponentially grown, and almost everybody today now buys everything online because that is a safer choice. How does Amazon work in terms of online sales, and what is it that we are doing with our MSMEs, and how are we helping them grow? So at the start of this year, Jeff Bezos visited India, and he invested, or he promised investment in terms of 1 billion into India to help digitize the Indian MSMEs and traders and take them global. Our vision is by 2025 to be able to take 10 billion worth of exports from Indian goods via Amazon to the rest of the world. This is where our vision is, and we believe that with the pandemic changing, this actual number will stand to increase quite more, and we will be able to do it quite successfully. Recently, we had Mr. Nitin Gadkari actually open out the Amazon Exports Digest. This happened about 2 weeks back. And even he was emphasizing the need to, start bringing back the exports and imports back to normalcy, to be able to start using that as a way to bring back the economy. Today, we have about 60,000 Indian MSMEs on the Amazon global selling platform itself. This, of course, comprises of different categories and not just restricted to jewelry. But with our major exports from India being in jewelry, being in soft lines like fashion accessories, in terms of clothing, etc. That is where the emphasis is going to be over the next few years. So you will see that there is a large or a vast network of service providers that we are actually working with in Amazon. Later, you will hear from Mr. Pratik Sanghani, who is one of our esteemed logistics partners, or a third-party provider who will help you navigate through the export business. We tie up with tax consultants, other companies who help you with product imaging, cataloging, etc., as well, to be able to make it easier and smoother for you to go online. We have within our team account managers like Ankit and Pratik, who are also going to help you individually to understand how the markets abroad look like, what are the supply, what are the demands, what external factors do you need to take care of, help build your inventory that is more suited for those markets, and help you grow that supply and demand channel. So the question comes, why go into global selling? What is the need? And I think the answer, while we made this PPT, parts of this PPT quite early on, and you can see the slide that was made here actually from a little more earlier into the year before the pandemic. One is you're able to reach your customers directly. You're able to create your international brand right from India. People will know your brand sitting in any part of the world and recognize your product for the quality, for the selection that you're offering, and for the unique value that you can actually offer to them. This is, of course, one of the main reasons that you would want to go global. Today, I would say, even with the pandemic, it becomes even more important to be able to have diversified supply chain mechanisms. You should be able to have your foot in different markets so that problems in one market does not affect your business. So you may have, say, political unrest in one part of the country or one part of the world. And these are things that can affect the way you do business to that particular region. While when we are spreading ourselves into different regions, we have a way of getting by or getting over those regional problems in terms of natural calamities, political interference, economic situations, etc. These are some of our global selling partners who have set up their manufacturing facilities across India and are currently selling to to North American market. What is the value proposition that we are talking about? One, of course, is the customer is coming to you. When you list your products on Amazon, the customers are able to see your hundreds of selections that you would offer, and they are able to make a decision wisely basis what they like or what they see in your product. You are able to reach more people because there is an Amazon fulfillment center which is there in US, which allows you to keep your products in US, and people are able to get their products quite quickly. And this also increases the sales that you are able to have for your product. The costs, of course, are lower. There is a storefront or a sales staff or logistics, etc., which are involved when we do offline sales. But when we are doing online, all of these costs no longer are valid and hence are much more cost effective for us. And of course, there is the ease of customer support, the ease of return, having multi-currency, etc., helps customers build trust with your brand, and for you also to be able to cater to customers across the world with the minimum hassle possible. So what's exactly the opportunity that we're talking about? With Amazon's global network, you are actually able to get into different regions like America, there is Europe, there is Middle East and Asia Pacific. On a year-to-year basis, we also add new marketplaces, like currently we are getting into Australia and Japan. And they are new marketplaces for us. And in another year or two's time, we would have had enough exposure and understanding of how that market works to be able to bring back to our sellers the knowledge of that particular market, the nuances of selling in that particular market. When you are a part of the global selling network, you also have customers all throughout the year. One of the things that I think we know very clearly is that in India, for example, jewelry has a very seasonal trend, right? It's either during the time of festivals like Diwali or during wedding season. And if those two are happening, then we know that there is a peak that is happening for that particular point of time in the year. While in non-peak times, chances are our jewelry sale is quite, I would say, flat, and it doesn't peak as much. But when we are selling globally, the advantage is that you are able to access different markets, each having different seasonal trends, and some of them not having such high peaks and lows, which means your manufacturing units need not take the load of having a sudden increase and spike in terms of demand, and then again having to live with the sudden drop in terms of demand. The fact that you are able to sell to different places, you know instantly to be able to reroute the products that you are selling to the right market and the right time, so as to be able to take advantages of the peaks and lows that they have. You're also basically taking part in international events, being a part of Prime Day, being a part of Cyber Mondays. These are high peak periods for all kinds of sales on Amazon. And you will see later how it benefits. So for example, with Prime Day, you can see that last year we had a 62% growth in our GMS. That is the revenue that we were able to get in from Prime Day sale. Similarly, there is a Cyber Monday, and then there is Black Friday. These are peak seasons for, product sales, for jewelry sales in particular. It starts with the holiday season. There's Christmas, then there is Valentine's Day. These are the places where jewelry sells very highly. So during the year, you will be working with your account managers in Amazon, who will help you identify the trends in terms of the products, identify the right selection that you should offer to your customers, across the world, depending on the market that you're selling into, depending on your unique manufacturing capabilities. They will be guiding you to the right kind of sales pipeline that you would be looking forward to in the course of the year. So if I say what is global selling, basically we have access to 13 different marketplaces sitting in India. So there is the North America, which is United States predominantly, followed by Canada and Mexico. Then there is Europe, which is United Kingdom, Germany, France, Spain, etc. UAE, which is a large market for us, as well as, of course, Singapore, Australia, and Japan. These are new marketplaces, and we are working on expanding our marketplaces from here and our own reach into these regions over the next few years. So we started global selling as a platform back in 2015. We had a few sellers at that point of time, and some products that were Indian, and we were trying to sell into United States. Over the course of the next 1 year, we saw that, from few we came up to 9,000 sellers, and we had 15 million selection in terms of the ASINs or the SKUs that we were able to offer to end customers. Today in 2019, we have about 50,000 sellers on the platform with 140 million selection. So you can see how it has been an exponential growth in terms of sellers finding value in selling with Amazon, being able to reach markets that they would otherwise not be able to reach directly, possibly. And the fact that they are a part of a larger ecosystem, getting the benefits of the high traffic volumes of Amazon, they are able to sell products at a much efficient and possibly economical way as well. So you can see that we had, the numbers in, where we were at 15 million. Today we are at 140 million. So over a period of like 3 years, we've 10 times grown in terms of the selection that we were able to offer. And we've also set up all of these solution provider networks who help our sellers get assistance on compliance, on taxation, on shipping, account management, product cataloging, images, setting up the right videos, etc. So these are the ecosystem that has been set up to help Indian sellers go global. Is already ready and available, and which is why right now is a good time for you to invest into it and to think of taking that step and figuring out how would you like to scale your business for the 2021 year, especially when the times we know that offline sales will no longer be the same. This is our storefront page that was set up for last year. So this is to be able to help Indian sellers have a single unique storefront, and for customers of Amazon.com to be able to find Indian made products quite easily. We had set up an Amazon.com India page, and also like a certified fine jewelry storefront as well. So these are Indian jewelry which are certified and being showcased to Amazon.com customers, and they're able to pick up the right product basis, whatever they wish in terms of, the color of the product or of the style of the product, in terms of what they want to buy. A storefront like this exists as well. I'll now invite Prateek from my team, who will tell you how global selling works and what is it that it takes for you to be able to go to that next step. Pratik?
Yeah, hi, Nikki. Thanks for the same. Let me just share my screen. Yeah. So thank you first of all for like letting us be a part of the same. Uh, so when it comes to basically how global selling works, just yeah. So basically there are two types of ways through which basically you can send off the products. One is wherein you do a MFN, which is Merchant Fulfillment Network, wherein whenever an order comes in, only then you basically like ship out the product and the product reaches the final customer. The other method is fulfillment by Amazon, wherein you initially send out the products to the Amazon warehouse in US. Afterwards, basically, whenever an order comes in, you will not have to do anything. Amazon Fulfillment Center will itself send out the product to the final customer. This is basically the overall working of an FBA basically program. If a seller wants to get into FBA, then basically what they need to do. So first of all, the seller manufactures the product, then they register on Amazon.com through the seller account. Then they basically would want to list out the products. After listing the products, they will ship out the products to the fulfillment center. Once they send it out, then Amazon will receive the products which have been sent out. The customers can see all the products which have been basically being received. Afterwards, Amazon will pack whenever a particular order is being placed. They will deliver the product to the particular customer. The customer will be able to then, sorry, the customer will be able to just check the product and see how basically it is. Then if they want to interact with the customer service, they can do that. And basically, after everything, if the particular overall scenario is clear, then the seller will receive the payment for whatever product they have sold off. When it comes to the process on how basically you need to start on Amazon, you first would need to do a registration, wherein the particular account manager will send you a link and they will do, like you will need to basically provide some information, after which the registration link will be sent. You can list the products afterwards. And finally, there will be the delivery option, like which option you need to select to sell your products. Whether you want to be into pure FBA, you want to be in pure MFN, or you want to have a combination of FBA and MFN. So when it comes to registration, you need three things as the basic checks. One is a email ID, which you haven't used on Amazon till now as a seller on any of the marketplace. Second is the credit card. It should be a international credit card wherein the transaction should be available in dollars. Apart from that, you need a business address for the same. Now, once you do the registration, before listing the products, there is a basic check which we have in Amazon for fine jewelry category. So if any seller wants to sell a diamond studded jewelry or a gemstone studded jewelry, or even a basically gold jewelry, then they need to first of all apply for a fine jewelry approval process. In that, they will need to create and basically submit a sample template for at least 6 of their sample products. Those can be very simple products as well, depends upon the seller that which products they are comfortable with. And then those 6 products will be sent once after the approval comes in from the Amazon team. You will need to send those 6 products to IGI lab within India, or basically in the US third-party lab, depending upon wherever your business is placed. So if your products are in India itself, you can send it to the IGI lab. If in case you are a US customer, then you can send it through that. So majorly, there are different categories wherein we have been able to be successful into. Diamond jewelry is something which has a lot of exports from India to US. And we have certain good sellers who have been doing really well in diamond category. Understanding that basically what kind of products work, it is majorly 10K or 14K gold, which has been doing well for us. Apart from that, when caratage come in, it's preferable that you start off with low carat diamond products. When it comes to color, GHHI is something which we have seen works well. And in terms of what works in terms of the product type, Earrings and pendants is something wherein you don't have sizes, so basically you can put that in FBA. When it comes to rings, understanding that there are a lot of sizes into it, you can either do MFN or you can even do FBA if you want to. Silver jewelry is something we have seen success into to a certain extent, wherein some sellers have really scaled it up and really done well. It's a low value product, but if in case you are able to sell it off, if there are certain designs which do well, then you can really take it along to a very large extent. If you just see the number of reviews on single products, you will understand that it's very easy to get a lot of reviews on low value products, but when the pricing increases, it gets a bit difficult. So gemstone jewelry is also one thing wherein we have seen a lot of success into both into precious and non-precious. This is one of the seller wherein we have seen that he has been able to put in very generic designs, for example, butterfly pendant, then basically infinity knot, solitaire, right, heart. So this seller has been able to do really well. Apart from that, we have multiple sellers from Jaipur who are dealing into basically your semi-precious stones, and they have also done well. And the pricing is obviously lower in that case. When it comes to the listings, there are certain attributes which you need to ensure that you take care of while listing the product. For example, the first is the title. It's important that if there is any certification, you mention that. If you need to mention all the specifications of the diamond, be it the caratage, be it the color, be it the clarity. Apart from that, it's important that if you are using the metal, you need to mention what metal you are using. It's the 14K gold, white gold, or yellow gold, or it's a silver product. And apart from that, it's also important to word keywords like, for example, which help to search more. For example, it might be important for you to put in jewelry for women or jewelry gifts for women, right? Or diamond jewelry. These are certain generic keywords which will help get more visibility onto the page. Then the second thing which comes very important is the images. It's very important to ensure that you have proper images, like for example, a front view, a back view, a side view, the image of the box, right? A scale view wherein you can mention that whatever the product is, what are the dimensions of it. You can also provide a mannequin or a basically model image that helps to ensure that the particular customer who is buying the product can actually see that how it will look like. Pricing of the product is very important, which is again one of the decision makers at what price you are selling at. So if the pricing is good, obviously the customer will want to buy that. When it comes to bullet point, it just helps you to provide more information about the product. It's the best way wherein you can just mention what all your product includes and maybe what are the differentiating or unique factors which you'll want to put in wherein the customer would want to see that. Then there is product description, which comes lower at the page wherein you can provide more information about it. Last but not the least, as I told about keywords, the keywords can be used either in the title, in the basically bullet points, product description, even when you basically go ahead with running the marketing campaigns. At that time, keywords come in handy. So when basically this is one of the just examples, if you search for a engagement diamond ring, there are different ways wherein your product can be seen. Like for example, the red box showcases that if you're marketing through a brand marketing, then basically you can get this visibility. Otherwise, you can do sponsored ads wherein your products can be seen at the very first page, depending upon the bids at which you want to spend for a particular keyword or at an overall level. Coming on to fulfillment, though Prateek will be mentioning about all the things from BBC on that, we have two fulfillment methods, as I told initially as well, fulfillment by Amazon and merchant fulfilled, wherein in FBA you send out the products in bulk before the order comes in, and then the orders takes place. In MFN, whenever an order comes in, only then you ship it out. So in terms of jewelry category, we have seen that we have seen a lot of response, a lot of benefit out of FBA. Majority of the sales which we have seen, be it a low value product or a high value product, or be it any type of product category, we have seen FBA doing well in particular. Now the benefits of it or the reasons why that is, like your products are eligible for Amazon Prime. For example, right now Prime Day is going for Amazon in India. So you can obviously ensure that the products receive the customers are able to deliver, like ensuring that the delivery happens within 2 days or basically at a very less time. And obviously the number of customers who want to buy the product also increases, understanding the delivery is proper. Second is like all logistics in US managed by Amazon. Once basically your product is in the Amazon warehouse, you don't have to worry about the logistics. It will be the Amazon itself who will be taking care of it. So even if, for example, there is a delay or something, the onus lies on Amazon rather than basically the seller. Understanding that you're putting your products in FBA and you're dealing in the US market. So for example, if a customer in US wants to buy something, they will take at least around, for example, if you send out a product from India, it will take around 10 days or 15 days by minimum. But if you already have a product in the US warehouse, in that case, the timeline required will be very less. More customers will be willing to buy it rather than waiting for the product coming from India. You can fulfill orders from other channels. So there's a concept of multi-channel fulfillment network, wherein if you have your inventory in Amazon warehouse, then in that case, if you are selling in eBay or on basically on your own website or any other marketplace in US, through Amazon, you can basically, it can act like a virtual warehouse for you, and you can deliver products to other marketplaces through that. And as the product is basically in FBA, then the customer service is provided by Amazon. As I mentioned, if there is any damage by Amazon, if there is any delay in basically sending out the product to the customer, Amazon owns it up and ensure that it doesn't affect the customer, the seller. So these are some of the selling partners that we have, like the sellers who have grown well. Like for example, we have seen Lake Allen, Sterling Silver. He has done really well. Grace Diamonds is someone who has done well, both in natural and lab-grown diamonds. So they are doing good. Touchstone is more into your basically ethnic jewelry. Then Diamond Air is someone who is basically into gemstone jewelry. The jewelry destination is again into diamond jewelry. So these sellers have grown really well. And if you basically go ahead and search for them on Amazon.com, you'll be able to understand that what kind of products they are dealing in. There are just two stories we wanted just to project that how basically the response of sellers have been. They have been on the portal for good enough time, and it's just their journey on how they started it off. So this is one of the sellers who basically started off in 2018. They started it off in silver jewelry. They had the plan to grow big on the US marketplace. They listed the products, they saw the sales, they saw that the things are working along with them, and accordingly they increased their selection and grew over the years. This is the other seller, Haley. They are into ethnic jewelry. They also basically started off low, but when they basically were able to see the kind of small impact or basically the kind of response they are able to have in terms of the kind of products that they're selling and the small success that they initially got, they started focusing on it to a very large extent, and basically have been now very successful over the years. I think this is all from our end. Pratik, we will recommend that if in case you can take it up and provide us the information on the BVC part.
Sure. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. So this is Pratik from BVC Brains, and basically, as said by Pratik from Amazon, that there are two services which needs to be fulfilled. One is FBA, and the second one is the MFN. So BVC has considered both the services, and we can provide the logistic support for both the services. And we've designed a tariff where the low value shipments, the e-commerce industry is being taken care of, because at times we've seen that there is one piece, two pieces which needs to be delivered, and the cost is too high, the logistics cost. So we've considered everything, and we've designed a tariff which caters to all requirements of Amazon. If it is, and our tariff starts from 1499, and according to the service and the requirement of the customer, the rates are designed for this. So even for FBA, there are returns possible. We send the goods under consignment basis from BKC, and the shipment is cleared in USA. It has been delivered to the warehouse.
Hello?
Yeah. Hello.
Pratik, there is so many people are complaining that
You're not audible, Ankit.
Pratik, a lot of people are saying that they are not able to hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
For me, it is clear, yes. But in the chat, there is a lot of messages saying that you are not audible.
There is.
In the Pratik, in the background, somebody else is speaking to you. Try to be a little closer to your mic.
Sure, sir. Sure. So I'll start from beginning again. So basically, BVC Brings has designed a tariff. Am I audible now to everyone?
You are audible, but some background noise is somebody else is also there speaking behind you.
Just a moment. Just give me a moment. Yeah, now it's better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'll start from all over again. So BVC Brings has designed a tariff for e-commerce, especially considering the low value shipments, where we can cater both the services that Pratik has said. That is, one is FBA and the second one is MFN. That is a single stone to be delivered to the final consignee and consumer. And our tariff starts from a pricing of 1499, and according to the customer's requirement, there are services listed on our tariff. We can share with you on an email as in how you can contact us. I think Jimit has shared the contact details on the chat of mine and Jimit himself, so you can contact us. And I think I should go with the questions that has been raised uh, in the question. Yeah. So the jewelry which I think Bharat Gupta has asked this question, that is 200 to 500. So as I said that, okay, our tariff starts from 1499 inclusive of custom clearance and all charges. And so this service can be serviced, Bharat, under our tariff, which is starting from 1499. So I think I've answered your question out there. And Mr. Kabir has also asked me a question. That is how, yeah.
I would advise you to complete your presentation, then we'll take questions from the audience.
Sir, I'm almost done. We are providing solutions for both the services.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm almost.
Okay.
Yeah, so these are the questions that have been raised. So I'm just reading on to the questions of Mr. Kabir. And yeah, so if there is a new seller, then there is a BKC registration and all the documents have to be provided, Kabir, and then you're good to export. Yeah, so basically FBA is also one solution that we can provide. And the FBA, we send the goods under consignment basis. So on return, the duties and taxes are not levied in India. So the shipment is sent door to door. It has been cleared at the USA and it has been delivered at the Amazon warehouse. So even that service can be fulfilled by BVC Brings. So if you have any other questions, then you can ask me. Pratik, any questions?
I think, can we open it up for everyone to ask questions if they have anything?
Sure.
Okay. There's a question: who pays the duties and taxes when shipment reaches USA warehouse?
The shipper pays the duties and taxes at destination.
Do you have any gemstone category also?
Gemstone, we can fulfill anything that you want to send under our tariff. Yeah. We take the goods under set to content basis. So if you send diamonds or gemstones or jewelry, means we can assist you with the services. Our tariff is basically based on e-commerce. It is not completely on Amazon. It is like e-commerce, and Amazon is one of the part that is FBA, which is included in our tariff for e-commerce.
There's a question: what is the best way to ship the product to USA if the customer, I mean the seller doesn't want to use the Amazon warehouse?
Then it is an MFN shipment, right?
MFN,
it is if it is directly going to the customer. So we have a service and we can do that. We can fulfill that also. As I said that our tariff starts from 1499. So it is a single package delivery that can be covered in that service if the value is low.
I think we have clarified on most of the questions on logistics. Is there anybody have any question remaining for pertaining to logistics?
I think basically people are typing on the chat. It's better if you can ask live.
I'm taking the questions on chat also.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first question, how many days Amazon will keep the jewelry in warehouse FBA? They mean FBA.
Under consignment basis, it is allowed for 6 months. And then there is an extension of 2 months, which so approximately 9 months you can keep it in the Amazon warehouse.
So just to add to it, basically Amazon has a basically leverage that you can keep it for as long as possible. From legality point, it's a different scenario, but Amazon can, like if in case you send out the products in the Amazon warehouse, for 1 year, you will not be asked to basically pay anything extra in terms of the FBA storage fees. There's a storage fees wherein you are being charged for a particular amount, for a 1 cubic feet amount. But afterwards, if in case the 1 year passes by, then there will be a long-term storage fees. So in case if, say for example, if you're a part of SAFES, or if you can ensure that you are within US itself and you're sending out the products in the Amazon warehouse, then you can keep it for as long as you want to.
What is the commission you charge on sale?
So the commission basically works in such a manner that if in case your product is less than $250, then in that case it's 20% fees, right? But if in case the product is for, say, example, more than $250, then for whatever value remains till 250, it's 20%. But the incremental value have a 5% commission. So just to give an example, if the product is for $250, it will be 20% of 250. But if it is for $1,000, then it will be 20% of $250 plus 5% of $750.
What are the prospects of 18 karat rose gold jewelry in US market?
So we have seen some sellers basically selling into multiple basically metal types. Say for example, white gold is something which we have seen selling the maximum. Then basically it comes about rose gold and yellow gold. So what I will say is that in terms of the potential, if for example, if out of 100%, like 70% is what the customers focus on white gold, and then 15% on yellow gold and rose gold.
Can you tell something about the return of goods? How much amount will be borne by the seller, or what are the charges they need to bear?
So if in case a particular return is happening in FBA, say for example, someone has done the, basically has put in the products in the FBA warehouse and then a return is happening, they want to call back their products anywhere within US, then there is a fees of around $0.15 to dispose of and $0.5 for returning it. As of now, if someone wants to get the products returned, Amazon is doing it for free, understanding the COVID situation is there. For MFN, I will recommend that Pratik can also pitch in and mention about the returns part. So I also wanted to understand, the question is more on the returns from the customer point, or it's more on the return coming from the basically
FBA.
Yeah, it's from more on the FBA.
No, from customer. You tell us about customer also. FBA, we understand that Pratik will answer, but what about the customer returns?
In case of customer returns, for example, if in case a customer has ordered it, you will take 30 days. The customer can return the product within 30 days. The seller can have a word with the customer to understand if there's any issue which he can solve for. Like for example, there is a damage or something wherein they can resolve. But if in case the customer wants to return it, then they can do so in a 30-day period.
Pratik, can you tell about the FBA returns?
Yeah, so for MFN, so far we've not seen any returns happening in Amazon. There is very rare chance that we are working with Amazon since past 3 years, and we've not seen any much returns happening under MFN. But under FBA, yeah, the returns have to come. That is the reason we send the shipment under consignment basis. We provide the photographs and all the details in the customs. It is clear, the file is there, and on return, the duties are not applied on it, and the shipment is getting cleared under FBA.
Pratik, there is a question for Pratik Gupta. If there are customers damaged products lying in FBA, how to get them those products back?
So in case, say for example, if a particular product is said to be like damaged or it cannot be refulfilled, Amazon will inform the seller through a unfulfillment inventory. So in the seller dashboard, you will have an option wherein you can see if there is any inventory which is unfulfilled. Now, if you have some place within US itself, then you can create a return order and the product will be shipped out anywhere within US. If you want to call back the product from FBA from US to India, then first of all, you will have to ship out the product from the FC in US to some place in US. Like for example, BBC has their way wherein you can ship out to the BBC office and then they can help you get the product back to India.
There's a question that you have certification facilities with IGI. IGI takes, people say that IGI takes little longer time to certify the goods. Do you have a tie-up with any other laboratory?
So like I think it depends basically how many products you need to certify, and if in case a particular seller will start it off with us, we also have a timeline along with them, and we already are in a partnership with them. So like I don't know what exactly are the timelines that they the particular person has asked for, because I can't see the chat, but in a particular scenario, what we are getting it done through the normal IGA process that we have for the fine jewelry approval. They generally take around a week's time to get the testing done. Only when basically the products have issue in terms of any color or clarity, that is when the to and fro happens.
So you mean you have presently you have tie-up with only one laboratory?
It's so we have, so a particular seller is free to basically get the testing done through any laboratory. We don't ask a particular seller to just do it from IGI. If a seller wants to basically get the certification done through, say for example, DGLA or the GTL lab in Jaipur, or for example, GIA, it's up to the particular seller that from where they want to get the certification done for the final selling on the platform. But when it comes to the approval process, as of now, it's only IGI. And we have a TAT for at least around 15 days. Within 15 days maximum, you will get the product testing done.
Is there any other condition for registering with Amazon?
No, as per
if seller wants.
Yeah, go ahead.
If the seller wants to register with Amazon, what are the conditions they need to fulfill?
So before the registration, the seller needs to provide their name, the phone number, the company name, and the email address through which they want to register. Once they register on the Amazon platform, at that time, they will need to provide an identity document, which can be an Aadhaar card or a passport. At the same time, they will have to provide a bank statement of the last 3 months में कोई सा भी timeline का, wherein they will have to provide that information wherein the business address and the company name will be verified. So you need to ensure that in the identity certificate, the name remains the same. And when it comes to the bank statement part, the company name and the bank address, whatever the seller is putting, that remains the same. Afterwards, they need to apply for the fine jewelry approval process, wherein I mentioned that they need to provide the information for 6 products. Once they get tested, and if basically what they have mentioned in the Excel or the template is same as what the lab has tested, they will get approved in fine jewelry category. They can start listing the products and then they can start selling.
For shipments, how the insurance is covered?
That is being taken care of by the logistics itself. When the particular seller will be wanting to send the inventory in FBA or in MFN both, the logistics company takes care of the insurance part.
Yes, okay. So basically it is covered under BBC Brings Insurance, and there is a charge of insurance that we charge for our e-commerce shipments, which is mentioned in our tariff.
There is a question about export license being asked. I think in India there is no such condition that you need to have export license. The only thing is that you need to have IEC. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. You are right.
If the same brand wants to sell silver, diamond, and gold jewelry, is it possible?
Yes, sir, it's possible. Preferably, it's up to like if the brand is established, then yes, they should sell it off through one brand. But it's up to the seller as well. Like for example, there are some sellers who would like to say that okay, this brand will sell only your pure diamond jewelry, right? And then they will want to bifurcate. So it's up to you, up to the seller, but it can be both. It's allowed.
In FBA warehouse, who insures the goods?
So once the particular inventory reaches the Amazon warehouse, in any case, if there is a difference in whatever the inventory has reached and whatever is mentioned in basically the available inventory, if there's any difference, the seller can create a case with Amazon and Amazon will check into it and generally reimburses the particular seller onto the same. So once the particular goods reach Amazon warehouse, if there is any discrepancy, Amazon takes care of that.
Pratik, can you tell what all documents you require while exporting the goods from the shipper?
Yeah, sir. So there is export invoices required, and you should IEC is a mandatory. A person who's exporting should be having an IEC. They should be registered with the BKC Customs, and once they provide us the invoice, the other documentation is provided by BVC itself.
No, but why BKC Customs? Why not if the seller is from Delhi or Kolkata? How even then he is required to register from BBC?
No, they need to be registered with the customs. By
Any of the
providing,
customs?
yeah, by providing their KYC documents with the customs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are goods insured by Amazon or they need to be separate insurance? I mean, when they are there.
This is like when they are being shipped out or basically when they reaches Amazon?
When they reach the Amazon.
In that case, I informed that in case if anything happens within the FC, then Amazon will take care of it if there's any discrepancy in that case.
Do you recommend any particular bank for settling the payments, or any bank will suffice?
Generally, if it's a private bank, it's better. We have seen like majority of like things happening through ICICI, HDFC, but there is no specific basically leverage that okay you can't use a particular one. But we have seen some issues here and there with different banks. So preferably HDFC or ICICI is what we prefer onto, or what we recommend that the sellers can go for. If they don't have it, if they have it through any other market like bank, that's okay for them.
One of the audience have asked that silver jewelry is studded with stones and diamonds. Will it be certified by IGI also? I think all laboratories certify this.
Any diamond jewelry will be certified by IGI. Diamond jewelry is something actually which they do. If you send out a plain silver or a plain gold, they will not be able to do that.
What happens if the goods are damaged or broken on delivery?
It is under BBC brings insurance.
Okay.
Yeah, but if the package is not tampered and it has to be under the custom seal intact.
What are the prospects of fashion jewelry in US and Canadian market?
So we already have around, if you can go ahead, like if whoever has asked us that you can go on Amazon and search for, there are fashion brands like Touchstone, Much More, right? Or Crunchy Fashion. These sellers are more into ethnic as well, but they're getting into those more of Western fashion jewelry as well. So would just want to understand that what exactly is the prospect, like if the person is asking more on the ethnic side or more on the Western side. The Western side business, we have seen one of the sellers, like for example, we have a brand Knighthood, and they are doing very well in men's lapel pin and brooches. So it depends upon the kind of product that you want to bring in. At the same time, the only thing in Western fashion jewelry, what we need to also see is that there are a lot of Chinese or US sellers also who are selling on the platform. So if any particular seller wants to sell into Western fashion jewelry, just be ensuring about the fact that the pricing is good and the supply chain is good.
Pratik, tell us how the costing is to be done, including your commission, so that the sellers get appropriate value of their goods.
So
including tariff, shipping charges to US?
See, I can take that call, but it will be very difficult for me to right now provide a proper
A
understanding
generalized
of it.
idea. A generalized
Yeah.
idea.
So I will just
What factor they should count
yeah.
for?
I will just mention the particular components which are to be involved into, right? Obviously, to wo fir calculation they can happen for a MFN order, for a merchant fulfillment network order. You need to take into cost of your product, whatever margin you are taking, whatever your packaging cost is there, whatever BVC or whatever any logistics company is going to charge in terms of the shipping cost, the duty, right? That is to be in the insurance. All these things are to be considered. And finally, then when you calculate the overall price, you need to take out the commission, which is there, which is 20% for jewelry. When it comes to the FBA part, the same things initially, which will remain the same, is the cost of the product, the packaging, the labor. Apart from that, the shipping cost in bulk, which will be there. Like if you're sending 100 products, 200 products, then you can divide it per unit, that whatever per unit cost will be. Then after that, there is a cost of keeping the product in the FC, which is FBA fees. So there's a particular fees levied on the basis of the weight of the product and basically the dimensions on the whatever pick and pack fees is there when basically an order comes in. And there is a FBA storage fees is there, that for the products that you're keeping in the warehouse, there's a particular fees for a particular 1 cubic feet depending. And then again, the commission will come in.
Can you give us the detail how to contact Amazon for registering as a seller once again?
Yeah, so first of all, if someone is interested to sell on the Amazon platform, they will reach out to any of us, right? And basically we'll be helping them out. First of all, they need to will provide us the name of the person, the phone number of the person, the email address, and the company name through which they want to register. Once these informations are being given to us, we will send them a registration link. When they will click on it, they will need to provide the information about themselves and the company, right? Wherein the two most important things will be the name of the person who is registering or for who on whose account it will be. And the second thing is the information of the legal entity, which is the company name and the company business address. So these two things are being verified by Amazon by one, checking the identity document of the person details who is filling in the information. And the second thing is about the legal entity itself. You will need to provide a bank statement wherein the business name as well as business address is there. Apart from that, one thing which is also very important, which we have seen, is the credit card. It's very important that you have an international credit card which is working and there are no issues on that. Once your whole registration gets completed, after that, as I mentioned, that there will be a fine jewelry approval process wherein you will need to fill out a sample template of 6 products. Once those 6 products are being checked by Amazon and they tell you to send those products to the designated lab, you can send those products to IGI or the US lab. They will do their testing. They will send the US team the report. They will check the information. And if both the two information matches, if the testing passes, they will approve the seller and then they can sell.
Suppose if a seller wants to register in 2 different markets, does he require to be registered in individually in each market, or global selling with registration is sufficient enough?
So there is an option if in case a seller wants to register through one single email ID, they can do that. And basically we can help for the same. But there are different seller portals. So for example, a particular seller has a different portal for US, Seller Central account. Then they will have a different account for Europe. Then they will have a different account for India. So their portals are different, but the person can navigate. If he is into global selling, then he can navigate from one marketplace to the other marketplace through just one single account.
So we had enough of questions now. I would request Pratik, you share your contact details so that any other question or the questions we could not take can be answered by you, the participants, and will contact you. Can you share your details?
So I think it's already been shared. Yeah.
Okay, fine then. So it was a very nice participative webinar we had. I thank our convener, Mr. Shailesh Sanghani, for sparing time and giving his valuable input. I also thank Nikki and her team, Ankit and Pratik from BBC, and my colleague Dolly Chaudhary for having this webinar organized in very very good form. And last but not the least, the audience who were support, and they made the program very lucid and live by asking questions. Thank you, participants. We will definitely come back with another event of this nature. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.